Hello, everyone, and I welcome you to yet another beautiful session of Women in Stability in Times of Instability. Each woman is successful in her own way, whether she is running her family or she is running a Fortune 500 company. Whatever she gives into it is her 100% of her heart and her soul. Even the Vedas talks about verses about how the primitive women were considered equilibrium to men in the olden and ancient times. And it is only because of the ignorant, semi-literate, fragmented communists that women has started to be demeaned and have been looked down upon by men over some time. But in this series, we try and bring forward women who have defied these norms, who have come out of their comfort zone in trying to achieve and bring about their craft open out in public for the better good. And today I have with me Indira Agarwal. Welcome, Dee.
Thank you so much, Vayjayanti. Thank you
And
so much.
you can call me Shauna. And for the viewers, I have to tell you that today's session is very, very special to me because I have Indira Agarwal, who happens to be my sister, my kin in flesh and blood. So yes, Dee, I'll be very, very happy if you still call me Shauna instead of
Thank you so
Vayjayanti.
much.
Yes, because
Thank you
that
so
will
much.
ease out our conversation
Yes.
and make it more like a drawing room talk. So yes, and I'm going to be addressing you as Dee as I always do because that's what is going to make me very comfortable.
Probably that will make the conversation more candid and casual.
Exactly.
Right?
So, Dee, I want to start today's conversation actually by understanding that in the bio, I wanted to ask you that you've stated that you're a textile entrepreneur and you're a colorist. So, what does colorist mean, and how did you come about picking up this profession?
Okay, now let me begin. For me, I did not know that there was a qualification or there was a term called colorist. I was pursuing my master's, my MSc at the Jandapur University, and there I was asked by my guide that what would you choose as a subject for your thesis? And I was doing an interior design, so I was at a loss. So he asked me one day that, what is it you find disturbing when you enter a person's home, no matter how rich they are, how affluent they are? So I told him that they may be having the best of artifacts, the most expensive upholstery, but I find the whole energy in the room very jarred. And the reason why I felt it was jarred because the colors were mismatched. The colors of the upholstery, the polish of the furniture, the paint on the wall, the artifacts, the silk floral, everything was very mixed and match. Either there was too much of it or there was no alignment. So then I asked him that, can I pursue my thesis in color in living? And he said, yes, that is what makes a colorist. So that is how
So,
I
would you
chose.
agree if I say that color is energy?
Color is energy. Color is nothing but energy. Because if you see, why is it? Okay, let me ask you a question. When you say colors, what comes to your mind? Immediately, what comes to your mind?
Vibrant colors like yellow and red, maybe even
Right. So
pink.
it's the physical colors which come to your mind, right? The
Right,
red, the vibrant, like you use the word vibrant.
right,
Now, if I know you, vibrant is your personality. So you're able to distinguish and you're able to identify that these are the vibrant colors, and those colors come in your conscious awareness.
right.
So we have our colors, the physical colors like the red, blue, green, yellow, orange, the hues, the shades, but those are just the physical colors. There is so much more to the colors. Color is energy. There is a physics behind colors. We all know when light falls on an object, what happens when it absorbs, what happens when it reflects, how we get our colors. I don't want to get into the science of it because it's purely a conversational chit chat aesthetic show. But we all know that color is energy. We see it in days when we are in a bad mood, or in the morning when you open your cupboard. Why is it that every day you're not pulling out the same color shirt to wear or
True.
the same color sari to drape? Our selection of colors also depends on our emotional status of the day. So color is energy, it is your emotional status, it has a psychological value, plus it deals with space. For instance, if you have a very small space and if we're putting a solid dark color piece of furniture, the space looks smaller. On the other hand, if we use a lighter shade, a pastel shade, and we mute it out, then the whole, that same energy space looks much bigger. So as you rightfully said, the color is energy. Color is nothing but energy. You
And we
see
are
our
able to see this energy in so many different forms around us.
yes, true, true.
If I look at your career and your identification with colors, you have come across the use in different forms.
Oh,
One form being
absolutely.
food. Your first entrepreneurial journey, I think, after being a textile entrepreneur, after doing a total, professionalism in colors, one thing that you started your career was with food, and it was called the
Yes,
double helpings.
yes,
So yes, so there again we play a lot with colors, and I know
yes,
your
true.
food is as colorful as you are whenever I visit your place. So tell me about your journey with food, and how did you come across starting double helpings?
See, this was a very long time back, nearly 3 decades back. That time there was a real dearth of interesting food. There were a lot of caterers, there were hotels, there were cafes, but we noticed that there was nothing interesting happening. So a friend of mine and myself, we said, why don't we experiment? So before doing the experiment, we did a little research and we found that most of the meals which were served, the one basic thing which was lacking was color. Either they were all green, there was a salad, there was a spinach curry, there was a green rice, everything was green. So color was a very neglected aspect, and so were the garnishings which were given on the food.
True.
So we thought, let's give it a shot. She was very good with the ladle and the pan, and I was very good with colors. So we
Right.
put the expertise of introducing color in catering orders, and that is
Because
how we
I
started
remember when
our.
you started with double helping, it is now that we find so many private
Oh,
gourmet,
oh yes,
professionals all around who are doing home catering food. But during that time, I think your company must be one of the selected few which came across
yes,
from home kitchens and bringing
yes,
luxury and food from different countries under one platform, going beyond the norms of just basic Indian and Chinese, and exploring into the different frontiers of cuisine, as you say, color, and bringing that taste and palate to different homes. So I think you entered a market which was you were unsure of as to how much it will be accepted.
true, true. There were two aspects, Shauna, if I might say. One was that very immodestly, I can say we were the kind of pioneers, one of the pioneers in home catering. And it was a very tough task for us because in most of the homes, in our kind of families, the thought of ordering food outside, this kind of a fancy cuisine or casual cooking, it was unheard of because the homes were very self-sufficient. So it was a very big experiment we did. So we started by introducing a single cuisine. We knew that the Indian food, which appeals to all palates, is very easily available in most homes. So we did not touch the Indian cuisine sector at all. We started doing continental. And that is where we thought that most homes lacked the skill, or they were large joint family. The joint family structure was so large that it was very difficult for a single lady to cater to the whole family with an Italian cuisine. So it all started with Italian cooking. And slowly from there, it branched off to Chinese, to Mongolian, to Asian, to Lebanese, and they came back to the Indian food. A time came when people started ordering the Indian food. And to make our biggest hit were the festivals which came. We noticed that the women like to be a little free and not be in the kitchen. The day
True.
there was a Diwali, there was a Raksha Bandhan, or there was a Griha Pravesh, or our Indian rituals and festivals which happened. So we found it was very easy for us, but at the same time, like you say, it was very experimental.
True.
But we did well. We did well. And today, of
So
course, it's a different ball game.
yes, today it's very different ball game. As I said, today the second house is probably doing
Oh yes,
home catering,
and
and
they're doing well. They're
yes,
doing
they're doing
well.
very well. In fact, today in the lockdown times, most of the women have come forward and they're making breads and other canopies, etc.
Yes, absolutely.
They're trying to use this time for entrepreneurship and also catering to the people who otherwise can't hit out to retail stores.
Yes, you can't hit out, and there's a domestic staff issue in a lot of homes.
Right.
So home catering makes it very easy. We made it very easy that time for us to reach out to those individuals. It was a very
So
interesting journey while it lasted.
yes, because I see that your bio, and I like the introduction which I gave to you as a multifaceted. Because yes, being a colorist, a textile entrepreneur, to starting your journey with food, and then moving on to the bigger approach towards textile.
Flowers, flowers.
Flowers, yes, I forget that you actually dealt in gourmet flowers as well. And then coming down to textile and having
Yes,
your own label and working with the integral, weavers of India.
yes.
Again, exploring the vivacious colors. If people actually check out your work, they would know about the sigmatic color approach you have in your work. And so, Dee, I want you to tell the viewers about your label
Mm-hmm.
and what was your idea behind creating Ekatvam? Because Ekatvam
Mm-hmm.
happens to be your label.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, what was the whole concept behind it? Uh, why your saris is something which you really highlight in
Yes.
Ekatvam. So, can you tell us about your textile brand?
See, when I come to textile, in my growing up years, I came from a very traditional home. The attire was traditional, the fabrics used were very traditional, and there was not so much explosion of these Chinese fabric that time. You know, the silks, it was all Indian, the Indian wear. But again, when just like the interiors, I noticed that a lot of, I found clothes very bizarre. Bizarre with all respect, not because of the fabric or the design, because the colors were mismatched. So then I realized that let me try out my expertise with colors in textiles. And the crafts of India always mesmerized me, whether it was a batik, whether it was a pencil kalamkari, something like what I've got draped, or whether it was a tie and dye or the bandhej. I mean, call it and you name it, and every state has a very unique style of textile. Every state has its own fabric, its own textile, its skill of weaving, the vegetable dyes they use, the kind of grains they use to tie the fabric so that it gives a different effect. But what really touched me was when I was traveling and I used to see that these workers, these weavers, they did not have a platform to showcase their work. They had all the skill. What they were lacking was, they weren't even lacking funds at that time. What they were lacking was guidance, and they needed a platform. When I say guidance, they already had the knowledge, but by helping them with the certain color combinations and what was the requirement in the market, when I started giving little work to these weavers, I saw it sells. So I made my platform Ekatvam the Collective, where it's a curated show, but I give a platform to all these weavers, all these craftsmen voluntarily to come and showcase their work. And that was my whole intention of starting this work with the weavers.
So
And the
it is
second thing,
dynamic, Dee. When you did your food, you went outside the Indian box and explored continental. And
yes,
when you talked about textile and you thought of opening your own brand, you concentrated more on the Indian fabrics, on the fabrics which came from the different states of India,
yes,
working
yes.
with Indian weavers, giving them a
Uh-huh.
platform so that they can reach out with their work and gain more
Absolutely,
economical strength,
absolutely.
everyday wages, their monthly income can increase because they would have a platform through your collective to showcase your work, their work. Now, can you tell us about your collection? Is so Indian,
Mhm.
and where do you operate from, and where all have you reached? Because I know that you've taken your collections to many parts of the country. So
Yes.
can you tell us about that?
To tell you very frankly, Shona, we are not an NGO. I don't have an NGO setup, but I do not have a large setup. And the USP of our work is that we have no duplicates. This is a standalone piece of whatever we do. Again, here we mix and match different colors, different fabrics, different craft styles. The most interesting part of the work we do is that we recycle heirloom clothes, old saris, any swatch. You give me a swatch which is even a 4-inch piece, and we will recycle it and make little tags. We'll make a little hangings. We'll make little drops for the sari corners. So we would, in all our homes, if you see, the women would have those heavy kanjivarams, or they'll have, they would have all the traditional heirloom saris, which if they felt it was out of fashion, it would go in the attics. So how I started was I first took out one of my saris from the attic and I tore it up because the borders stay intact. So I tore up the border and I recycled it on a newer fabric. Again, an Indian fabric from one of the states. I transferred it on a silk, and when I wore it, it got a lot of acclamation from everywhere. And that is how that whole concept about, uh, Shona, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, okay, so that is how it started, of recycling, not wasting anything. And what I wanted to absorb was, I came across these domestic workers who had young girls in their homes. And they would come and ask me that, is there any work they can do? Is there any work they can do? And their biggest concern was that if these young girls were not given work, they were up to mischief. So I started calling these girls, and I was amazed to see that if I would make a sample, first thing I took a 4 by 4 piece of fabric, and I turned and twisted and made a rag ball out of it, and we put some conch shells, and we put some beads, and we put a rudraksh, and we made a hanging. It was amazing how these girls could duplicate it, you
True.
know. So my strength of my work women was largely these young girls who would come every day, who would sit at my studio. They would do these pieces, and we would pay them. And the best feedback I got was from their moms, that the girls are not into mischief anymore, because one, they were getting money, and two, they were enjoying. And I realized that they were very skilled, because those who were not attached to this kind of work would drop out. By the third day, they would start being absent. But those who were tuned to this, they kept coming, and they trained, and there were times when they did better pieces than I showed them.
So what I understand, Dee, is that your textile journey was able or is able to generate, skilled labor and
Yes,
channelize the workmanship of these young girls so that
absolutely,
they can be productive, they can be useful to the family, and also
absolutely,
find themselves doing some good work, learning a new
hmm,
skill. And
absolutely.
again, at the time where you're talking about recycling, you're able to do some sustainable work. You are able to, as you made it very clear in your bio, that even like a 4-inch cloth in your studio
We reuse it. We just don't like to, we don't like wastage of any form.
Right. So again, then that is so very important, because today is a time when not just the times that we are in right now. This is something which is a conscious, nature which each mankind should have. But now more so in these times where we are, coming across the fact of respecting the essentials,
Mhm.
respecting whatever we have, and using it to its,
True, true.
optimized manner, sustainability, and using things right, and with zero wastage is the policy and the new era that we are rising up to.
And you'll
So
be amazed, if I can interrupt you, Shona, you'll be amazed at the end product which comes out, because these kind of heirloom pieces you will not find today. It's just that everyone is not skilled. I have my skill, you have your skill, X has his skill, her skill. So it's just that skill of being able to put it all together. And the end product is absolutely fantastic what comes, and for a very small amount of money.
true,
For a very, very small amount of money, you have something absolutely new. And the feel good factor does come in all my clients when they realize that they've not wasted.
true, true.
They also become
So
conscious.
so this cycle of work that you started, and
Hmm.
I'm going back to you, cooking up gourmet food, down to you being a textile entrepreneur, generating jobs, playing with colors, coming up with an exquisite line of Indira Agarwal's Ekatvam, which viewers, you can see it up on Instagram and Facebook about these collection there. Then comes a big aspect of your life, which is
Yes,
spiritualism.
a huge aspect of my life.
Yes, I think, and I think an aspect which is super close to the core of your heart.
It's very close to me. Gives me a lot
So,
of joy.
before I speak about, the different forms of spiritualism that you're connected to, and how you're giving back to the community through your spiritualism, would you like to start the talk by telling us about how your journey with spiritualism started?
Oh, it's very strange, Shona. I came from a background which was largely religious, but the catch was it was a very, very disciplined and a joint family structure. Now, if you will understand, discipline by itself is spiritual.
True,
So I grew up in an environment which was largely disciplined, spiritual, religious, very culture based, festival based. So my foundation I owe to my forefathers, my parents, my grandparents, and my family. We learned the beautiful art of sharing, growing up in a joint family, compromise, sharing. and a complete feeling of oneness. We were all together, we were all one, you know, like there's no fight which was your fight. Every fight was our fight, you know, it was like that. So, and I grew up in an environment where my father was very, in a big way, involved with the art of living. So, my teenage years, I used to see him do the work for the art of living, and I used to see frequent workers coming. So, there was an aura, there was an energy around, the spiritual energy. But yes, my journey started with suddenly someone introduced Nam Myoho Renge Kyo to me, Buddhism. I was at a loose end in my life that time. We were going through a business low, and I was trying to cling on to whatever comes my way. So I went. This woman told me, "Would you like to come and attend?" So I went to a chanting. I went for 3 chants, and the fourth chant I ran away because there were a lot of textbooks and there was a lot of literature, and I'm a very spontaneous person. I could not connect. But it was very strange how suddenly my academy came into my awareness, and I discovered the Oneness University, which is from Andhra Pradesh. And my true spiritual journey started there, because what I learned in that academy was, we all say, oh, I have a lot of relationships. My ex relationship is disturbed, my ex relationship is very good. But we always say, I have a lot of relationships. Because it was only being with the university faculty and with the mentors that I realized and I learned that life does not have relationships, life is relationship. Now you would ask me, what is the difference? There's a very big difference. See, the minute you're born, you're somebody's daughter or somebody's son. You have a parent, you have a co-parent, and your relationship has started. So it's not that life has relationships. The catch was life is relationships. Having grown up in a joint family, relationships mattered a lot to me. And being in this university, I realized that whatever we are in our life today, as of today, this moment, this second, this minute, is because of our 2 primary relationships. Would you like me to elaborate on that a little?
Maybe you can just mention the 2 primary
Yeah.
relationships.
The 2 primary relationships. Now, if I ask you to guess, probably you'll say husband, you say
I think
children.
one can be with your parents.
The 2 primary relationships are one with your father and one with your mother. And if these 2 relationships are sorted, you are sorted in life. They could be dead, they could be living. It could be in the conscious, it could be in the subconscious. But if these 2 relationships you are aware of, you are sorted, then you're financially, emotionally, health wise, relationship wise, you're totally sorted in life. And being here, I was introduced to a lot of processes like mantra chanting, meditations, havans, and I realized all these were very spiritual processes. And by going through these processes, we were able to heal people. You know, the cosmic energy, which we call the Diksha, we were able to transfer the energy. And for instance, if I used to meet somebody, I used to realize that there was a psychology getting involved in whoever I was meeting. I was all the time studying the person's personality. So if somebody would come and share, even if a friend would share that, oh, I'm going through a financial situation in my life, I would instantly connect. My first question would be to her, how is your relationship with your father? And they used to find it very weird that I'm telling her about my finances and she's talking about father. But by the guidance which came from the universities and how I could help them, things started getting sorted for them.
So, viewers,
So
I want to add to that Indira Di does take a professional healing and counseling sessions.
let's talk. Until let's talk.
Let's talk. Yes. And in case you want to reach out to her, you can, because as she says, that life is relationships, and the turmoils, the ups and downs, the heres and theres all rises up from the 2 primary relations. And here she is to offer her counseling. So the ones who want to reach out and understand the more depth about this science can do so. But the would you like to tell the viewers about the different chanting? And as you say that these all are different ways of giving diksha and healing.
Yes.
So in the times that we are in right now, you know, where everyone, I remember the other day when I was having this talk with you, you were saying that how even police officers to, you know, different professional people are going through this mental catharsis and a lot of
Absolutely.
mental issues in these times, and how you are taking these online online chanting sessions who are being very beneficiary to them. So would you like to tell something about that to the viewers
Yes,
also?
true. See, we all know that they're mantras. Growing up years, we've all heard of dozens of mantras. The Hanuman could be connected to a deity, the Hanuman, the Gayatri mantra, so many mantras, Durga mantra, whatever they are called, chalisas or the mantras. But every mantra has an energy. Every mantra has an energy on its own. And I practice one mantra, which is a very old Vedic mantra called the Moola mantra. So in these kind of COVID times, when I started getting calls from my friends who just wanted to be heard, because I realized in my journey that the biggest problem in mankind today was that no one had time to hear anybody out. In
True,
my Let's Talk sessions also, I have seen even half a session through and they're healed because they just want to be heard. There's no
true,
judgment.
true.
In the COVID times, I started this mantra chanting, which happens every afternoon at 3 o'clock. We do it on Zoom. Anybody and everybody is welcome. We chant 108 times the Moola mantra. It's a collective chanting which we do. You can take your own intent, you can do your own prayer. But chanting collectively, I saw the power because after the first fortnight, I thought now people must be bored. So I called it a day and I posted there will be no more chanting. And I actually got calls from people saying that, how could you even think of stopping it? Because, like you said, whether it was doctors, I have my doctor friends who are there. They're from all over the world. I have them from London. I have them from Australia. I have them from Dubai, from Singapore. They say it's kind of a release. It's a cleanser for us, and it fills us up again to face the next day. So this is how the chanting during these times
So,
happened, and
I'm
it's been
hearing
going
a
on.
lot of these. In fact, on my mobile, also every second day, I'm getting these SMSs where people are talk about collective chanting, collective meditation,
Yes,
group chanting, sitting together and doing the healing for the world, for the virus.
absolutely.
How far is an individual chanting different to a collective one?
See, the difference is just like you have already used the word collective. The difference is when a single individual is sitting and chanting, I'm not saying that is not powerful because it all depends on your intent and how dedicated you are to your intent and purpose. But definitely, if you have a dozen people sitting and chanting at the same time, for the same intent, the result is many fold more stronger than an individual doing it. So that is the difference between a collective and the difference between an individual.
So, as
Second
you
difference is,
are chanting the Mool mantra, which happens
uh
to be a Vedic mantra, and a lot of things are happening lately in our country, which is taking us back to our ancient mythology and times.
absolutely.
Even the political scenario of beating the thalis or clapping the hands.
Sound energy, it's sound energy.
How far do you resonate with it as a healer, as someone who believes in the Vedic chants, as a believer of oneness, a collective oneness, spiritualism? How far is all of this authentic?
See, if I can tell you, we are all relating to one consciousness, right? Now, in these kind of situations, medically, what has to be done is being done. Politically, what has to be done has to be. State-wise, what has to be done. Family-wise, whatever individual is doing is fine. But spirituality, like you said, you cannot doubt the significance of our age-old mantras from the Vedas, from the Upanishads. So when it's coming back for a reason. It's all neuroscience. It is also very scientific. So I completely resonate with these practices which are going on. We are not telling them don't go to the doctor or don't go and take your testing or don't do what has to be done. But parallel for evolution, for a raised consciousness, for a feel good, because the minute there's a sound energy, there's a vibration, all our oxytocins, a serotonin, all our feel good hormones go up. Right, we're hearing every second day, we're hearing about the domestic violence which is happening in homes. Why is it that the government is not releasing the wine shops open? Because there's already so much violence which is happening. So all these kind of practices definitely add value. They definitely don't take away anything from what is being done to combat the COVID.
True.
On the other hand, it adds value to it.
And it is so ironical that all of this, whether it was the chanting, believing in the verses of the Vedas, they are our heritage. They have
Of
always
course.
been there. And it's because of the West, the modernism, that we somehow just let the pages be and we did not even bother to turn it. And now,
Hmm.
in statuses of turmoil, in statuses where we don't have a way forward. Many of us are, resoluting to the fact of the chanting. Some of them, like if you ask me also, you have been so persistent with me that Shauna, you must join one of the chantings, and I'm like being a selfish one, not doing so. But even when 2 years back, I was facing the surgery, which you were a witness of, every morning after my breakfast in the hospital for the 15 days that I chanted. And I
That's
can say
wonderful.
from my
I didn't know that.
yes, I chanted. And okay, I did not tell you that. So now you know. So for the 15 days, I chanted. And I still have that sheet of paper with me as my manifold of energy, which I keep in
Mhm.
my drawer. That maybe I'm not doing the chanting anymore, but I've chanted with this
The
paper.
presence, yeah, the
Yes.
presence itself
And
makes a
it
difference.
has my individual presence in it. So I have that sheet with me, Dee. And yes, from my personal experience, viewers, I can tell you that those 15 days, maybe it was mythical, maybe it was mystic, maybe it was just a belief, maybe it was just faith. And as I always say, there's a very thin line between what is a fact and what is a faith, but it did help me. And that is exactly what people are resonating more in these times of need. And which brings me to the next question, Dee, that I do understand that you're working a lot towards prenatal consciousness
Yes,
awareness. So, can you
absolutely.
tell something about how this entire consciousness in terms of a prenatal stage is so relevant in today's times?
See, if we take up this prenatal consciousness, it is termed under a research project of the university called the Four Baskets. Now, the academy or the faculty believes, now this is all grandmother's knowledge. If you hear me, then probably you say, oh, my grandma used to say this. It is actually, like you said, we are going back to our Vedas, we are going back to our cultural heritage. This is also the knowledge which our grandmothers and four grandmothers had. But with the moving times, with the material world, with the busyness, with the multiple occupations that women have, pregnant women also, and we moved away from it. Now, in the prenatal consciousness, we've seen that an individual, an adult individual's personality, how do you think or when do you think a personality is formed? We have multiple, all of us have multiple personalities. We all know that, and at different times they surface, right? Now, it's not that your personality is coming to being now. No. Over there, we realize and we are made to see that it's a neuroscience. The personality of a child, an individual, and an adult now begins to form from the minute their parents, his or her parent, decide to go a family way. From that moment of that decision that we are going to go a family way into that moment of conception, what is this atmosphere like? What is the mental state like? We see a lot of couples where the woman wants a child, but the man does not want a child.
So,
Maybe
are you
he's
like
into his,
tracing the prenatal consciousness not to
yes,
the womb, but you're tracing it further back to the
previous.
first seed of consciousness when it comes
Absolutely.
up in the mind of the person
Yes.
who wants to have the baby?
When a couple or a woman or a man, when they come to us for counseling, the first question we ask was, how and when did you decide that you want to have a family? And having decided, how did you go about it? I mean, did they need to seek permission from their family members, or did he have to take a break from work which he was not happy about, or she had to take a break from work? So it begins from that moment of decision to the moment of conception, and the whole journey of the fetus in the mother's womb, the 9 months, is divided into four baskets, depending on the psychological health of the mother and the physiological well-being of the mother. That is what reflects on the child or the fetus in the womb. And if the fetus gets stuck in any one of these baskets because the mother's physiological or psychological state, they have a lot of personality issues when they grow up. So it's not only the 9 months, it's the minute of the delivery, the passage through the canal. When a child is born, from there till 6 months after delivery. Remember, if you go back, our grandmothers and our forefathers used to say, don't make noise about pregnancy. It
Yeah,
has to be a very hush hush.
yes,
And when
true.
the child is born, for a few hours, it was just the immediate family which was allowed to go. It is very true. Now you'll ask me why. There's a lot of gender bias, girl child, boy child. Now, a very innocent remark, uh, a couple isn't going a family way, the woman goes into maternity, the baby has come, and the news comes, oh, it's a girl. Someone may could have just said, oh, it's just a girl. Now, there's nothing, it's a harmless statement, but the fetus, let me not call it the fetus, the child who's born, the subconscious is very, very expanded at that time. Whatever is said around, whatever is felt around, it can absorb. So the minute it is like, oh my God, it's a girl child, the consciousness accepts it as rejection. We've seen that those children, when they grow up, they behave like tomboys. They always want to prove that they are as good as boys. So
Right.
it's the 6 hours after your birth until the age of 6. Till the age of 6, whatever a child goes through makes the personality of the child. So we always tell parents that if you're not ready to give time to your children, please don't bring children into this planet Earth. Till
True.
the age of 6, whatever the child sees, whatever the child learns is what goes into making the personality. And that is where all these charges are stuck, any negativity, any unpleasant incidences which have happened in the family. That is where our processes come in being. Once we're able to identify, then we put the parent, I won't say they're not reversible.
This healing, this talk, this listening to, and giving, your professional help to.
Mhm.
I believe you extend it even to couple consciousness and
Couple
couple
consciousness.
relationships. Yeah.
Yes.
So can you highlight that as well?
We give it to the couple consciousness because a lot of times we've seen that the woman is not able to reach out to her spouse. The spouse is not able to listen from the wife and vice versa. But when they come to a professional and we just put this knowledge in front of them, we've seen in the majority of cases it is well accepted. And this project is called the Star Baby Project. So when they hear about that this is what you should do, this is what you ought not to do during the 9 months, this is the kind of food, this is the kind of TV watching, this is the kind of literature, these are the activities, these are the mantras. So it all appeals to them. And when we show them that, the outcome baby is definitely different from the normal children who are born. There are so many experiments which have been done, these star babies which are born, they're so much more alert. Now, you might ask me that sometimes the couples are not ready for this information. It doesn't matter if they're staying in a family where there are in-laws or their grandparents, they can acquire this knowledge, they can practice it, and it gets transferred. So that
So,
is how it works.
so all this knowledge that we have about the subconsciousness, as you very rightly and so beautifully you just summarize in one sentence, that discipline is spirituality.
Spirituality. Yes.
So, how far this statement you think is important in these times of awareness that we are in this COVID times, as I relate to why one should maintain that discipline and how we can maintain that discipline in spite of being so much under mental stress. Like the other day, I was with another healer from London who was who's into tarot reading, etc. And there was a question that tomorrow is so uncertain. How do we keep our calmness?
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your take on it as a
See,
healer?
my take on it is, see, even we as healers, at times we also slump, right? But when you're into any kind of a practice, it could be a chanting, it could be journaling, where you're writing down and emptying your mind and you're putting it on paper. When you're into yagyas, Arya Samaji yagyas, which you do at home, or you're into meditation, or you're into just simple pranayam, breath watching, the bounce back is very far, Shana. You might have a slump, but you immediately bounce back to your energy and your uplifted mood. So in today's times, that is what there isn't much anybody can do. And when I talk about discipline, even in this COVID times, it is very important to maintain a routine. You can't just wake up and see, we'll just see how the day goes. The day will never go like that. You have to have your basic routine in place, your basic practices in place, and you see how time flows and how things change. And that is how we can help to bring in a much more safer and a much more safer zone. That's all I'll say.
So, viewers, if you actually want to reach out to these beautiful and mesmerizing and healing chanting sessions, you can connect through me to reach out to Indira Agarwal. Because these sessions happen every alternate day or every day?
Every day, 3 o'clock.
Every day at 3 o'clock. They are these Mool Mantra
Mool
chanting
mantra.
from the Vedas. And what is the duration of the chanting?
See, the actual chant takes about 20 minutes, and we have normally a 5, 7 minutes of sharing after that because everybody wants to share. Because
Right.
each experience leaves a different feeling. So we encourage people talking, and like I said, that people just need to be heard.
Right.
And we have a WhatsApp platform, Sonali, if you can mention that, called
Right.
Pavitra Urja,
Right.
where we have daily sharings also.
Okay,
Which
so if
also,
you want to connect to Pavitra Urja and be connected to the different happenings each day, the different talks, the exchange of verses, the exchange of ideation, and basically just wanting to share your thoughts on a platform, you can please reach out to Indira Agarwal
absolutely
directly on social media, on Instagram and Facebook, or you can connect to me and I can put you on to her, because I think this is something which is very individual and subjective. If not every,
true.
even the days that you're feeling low and you want to reach out to someone to be heard, as you very rightly, you said
Just have
that
to call.
yes, it is important to just reach out. And I think one of my biggest takeaways, Dee, for me today is that discipline is spirituality, and this
Yes.
is a very big takeaway from me. And between you and me, I'm more disciplined than you, or is it you? I don't know. But yes, on a personal level, as a sister, I've learned a lot from you. My spiritual
Thank you.
journey, how much ever small or dignified it is from you. So thank you very much for
You're
it.
welcome, Shauna. And I
And
must compliment you on what you're doing. Viewers, I must tell you that these COVID series which Shauna is doing, Women of Stability in Times of Instability, they are very motivating, very inspirational, and there's something to look forward to. The day you don't have a session, I keep searching that I hope I'm not missed the message.
oh, thank you so very much. But uh, one thing I want to add to this
Yeah,
is that spiritualism is not something which is not belonging to us. It has always been with us. It is our
absolutely.
heritage. Now are the times that we are turning back to it. So, in case we are getting certain chances to explore it, we must. And if we are crowning our women of our families, we ourselves, if we are wearing the crown of positivity, the nation builds. Because I think the way the energy can be manifested by women is mesmerizing, because she has
Absolutely.
that internal charisma to take it to the advantage of extending it to her family and multiplying it to bigger benefits. So thank you, Dee, for being with me today. If there's anything else which you want to add to the conversation that we are having today, please do so.
Thank you, Shauna. Thank you so much. I want to thank all the viewers. I just have one simple suggestion, or rather, I would say I appeal to all of them that no matter how busy you are over the day, please take out 20 minutes and log into our Mool Mantra chanting session. It's a one-line mantra which you'll get to know. And like Sonali said, if not every day, the days which you feel like experiences. The proof of the pie lies in tasting it, right? So
That's
just
right.
experience the Mool Mantra.
That's
And
right.
all I can tell you that if your energy changes, the whole vibration of your home, your family, your domestic staff, the whole vibration changes. So if you want an aura change, let's try working with changing our own aura first. That
True.
is our journey.
True. So, viewers, here today we witnessed a woman who's had a multifaceted journey from food to textile to spiritualism, to colors, to texture, to bringing forward the Indianism in her clothes, or exploring the continental cuisine and bringing it to homes which that time was not that possible. So, yes, she's been there, she's done it, and she's done it with passion. And this is what the Women in Stability series is all about, where we bring forward women who are passionate and true and honest to your work. And this is what we are doing in the next session, where we have Paridhi Sharma joining us all the way from Delhi, who has revisited Khadi. She has taken Khadi to even London and Singapore, and she's doing great work in revival of Khadi. So, Dee, I hope you will be there to listen to this session next.
Of course. And the next and the next.
Yes, because Paridhi has a beautiful saying, Dee. She always says, "जब एक बार चरखा चलता है, तब एक चूल्हा जलता है." And I
Of
totally
course.
yes, and I totally resonate to that. So, to more amazing conversation viewers, I'll see you all soon. Have a great day. Stay home. Stay safe. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Bye,
so much.
Dee.
Namaste.